Remember that India has lost 5 brave hearts fighting at the Rajouri border, and that to counter the jihadist terrorists. Another soldier lost his life during the ongoing anti-terror operation by the combined forces. These are live visuals on your screen. This is a protocol, a wreath-laying ceremony. And I just want to ensure that our viewer watching this telecast knows it's not just about 5 brave hearts. These are 5 young, brave men. Their names were Havaldar Abdul Majid, Paratrooper Sachin Lore, Lance Nayak Sanjay Bisht, Captain M.V. Pranjal, Captain Shubham Gupta. Different cities, different states of this country, one Indian identity to fight terrorism. It's because of these men fighting at the border that we are able to still live a safe, protected life here in the country. But it's also a reminder that Pakistan-sponsored terrorists have been trying their best to still cause disturbances and problems, not just in the Kashmir Valley, which is witnessing peace and development in the past 5 to 6 years, but now shifting their strategy to the Jammu region, which had been earlier peaceful relatively, but now Rajouri has become the strategy for these terrorists to focus on. We have seen attacks on Hindu civilian community in a few months ago, remember, in Rajouri. There have been encounters earlier in the past few months in Rajouri. Rajouri is also a border village area, and it is a forest belt. And that is why one of the reasons of the casualties going up is it's a very difficult terrain to be operating upon. And joining me, Sunil G. Bhatt, my colleague who has enough experience of reporting from that Rajouri forest belt and how difficult such operations can be. I can, for the brother-in-arms of the Indian Armed Forces, these were young men, captains, and whether it was Havaldar Abdul Majid or the paratrooper, the Lance Nayak, all with the average age of about 25, and so much courage to be taking on terrorists, to be ensuring that eventually they were neutralized too. But also a reflection of what the terror mechanism by Pakistan is shifting its gear. Over to you, Sunil. This is at the Jammu Military Hospital.
Well, Pooja, right now we are at the military hospital in Jammu. A wreath-laying ceremony has just begun here, and top army officials as well as J&K LG Manoj Sinha, J&K DGP RK Swain are going to lay wreaths on the mortal remains of our 5 Bravehearts who attained Veer Gati in the anti-terror operation in Rajouri district of Jammu and Kashmir. And right now you can see, I will just ask the camera person to show you the pictures. You can see that one by one the army officers are paying their last tributes to these brave hearts who made the supreme sacrifice for the nation. In short while from now, J&K LG Manoj Sinha is going to arrive here. J&K DGP RK Swain will also be here, and there will be top officials from the civil administration as well, and they are also going to pay their tributes to these brave hearts who laid down their lives for the nation. Remember, Pooja, these twin border districts of Rajouri and Poonch have become the hotbed of terrorism once again, and we are seeing a pattern in the last 2 years that there have been increase in terror activities. There have been many encounters that took place. Many terror attacks have also taken place. Unfortunately, we have suffered casualties in these anti-terror operations, and it seems that Pakistan has changed its strategy. Earlier, the focus of Pakistan was Kashmir Valley, but now, since after the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, there has been a massive crackdown on terrorism and terror ecosystem in the Kashmir Valley, and as a result of that, now Pakistan is focusing on the hilly areas of Jammu region like Rajouri, Poonch, because these areas are hilly areas and it's very difficult to operate in these particular areas, and it becomes very challenging for the security forces to carry out counter-terror operations because these areas are surrounded by thick forests. There are natural hideouts. Sometimes the visibility is very low, so this becomes very easy for the terrorists to hide and carry out terror activities in these regions. So that is why security forces have also changed their strategy in the recent months. They have got success also, but unfortunately we are paying a heavy cost as far as combating terrorism in the twin border districts of Rajouri and Poonch are concerned, and this definitely is very worrisome. We are
Sunil,
losing precious
also for the
lives
viewer
of our
watching,
soldiers, of
let's
our
make no
brave hearts, but
mistake
right now
that these are still Pakistan-sponsored terrorists that are infiltrating, managing to into the border, and that one of the terrorists killed earlier was a Pakistani national.
Absolutely, Pooja. One dreaded Pakistani Lashkar terror commander, was neutralized yesterday in the anti-terror operation in Kalakot area of Rajouri district. His name is Kari, and as per our sources, he was the mastermind of Dhangri terror attack that took place in January this year, in which 7 Hindu civilians were assassinated by terrorists. He was also the mastermind of Kandi IED blast case, in which 5 army para-commandos attained martyrdom. So he was one of the most wanted terrorists in this particular region. He was trained in Pakistan, he was trained in Afghanistan, he was an expert in planting and exploding IEDs. He was also expert in when it came to sniper firing. So this terrorist was sent by Pakistan with a task to revive terrorism in the twin border districts of Rajouri and Poonch. Our security forces achieved a major success yesterday. They neutralized both these Lashkar terrorists, and Kari's, elimination is a big shot in the arm for the security forces. But in this entire operation, unfortunately, Pooja, we have lost 5 of our brave hearts, and the entire nation is paying tributes to these, men in uniform who laid down their lives for the nation. They made the supreme sacrifice of their lives. And Pooja, it becomes very easy for people to comment on these operations while sitting in their, homes, because these areas are not easy areas. These are very difficult areas to operate in. Pooja, you have been to this region, Rajouri, Poonch, and you understand what kind of a terrain is this. Thick forests and huge mountains, sometimes the visibility is so, weather is inclement. Braving all these odds, still our security forces
There are
are doing
natural
a great
hideouts,
job.
like
They are
there are
neutralizing
caves
terrorists,
also,
but definitely,
which are very difficult sometimes to intercept, and that shows how Pakistan is also sending such trained terrorists who clearly do their recce for months and manage to get that shelter. It's a moment, remember, it's heartbreaking, because in this year specifically, we've seen increasing number of casualties of our armed forces. It's a changed strategy of Pakistan-sponsored jihadists who are trying to find surprise attacks in different areas. And that is a reminder also for the government to ensure that while Kashmir is witnessing progress and developed, to ensure that it is that Pakistan is not underestimated with the sort of strategies of terrorism that it's constantly changing to. Sunil, it's also a moment, while this, of course, is sheer courage of these 5 men who've taken on those terrorists literally at the risk of their life, but spare a thought also for the families. I'm told that in some of these families, in Havaldar Abdul Majid's family, there have been other siblings also, other family members who were associated with the armed forces. One of the captains was the only child of his parents. And it must be a heartbreaking moment right now for the families too.
You are right, Pooja, and right since, if we say 1947, our nation had to face wars. Then in the decade of 90s, Pakistan launched proxy wars, and our armed forces have displayed great courage, grit and determination, and they have also laid down their lives. So it's the families also. We must also spare a thought for the families also, because they are losing their loved ones. These men in uniform are the pride of the nation. And right now you can see, Pooja, that with, moist eyes, tributes are being paid to the Bravehearts. You can see the mortal remains of our Bravehearts wrapped in the tricolor have been kept here, and army personnel are paying their tributes here. In a short while from now, J&K LG Manoj Sinha, J&K DGP RK Swain, and other top officials from the civil administration are going to be here. They are also going to lay wreaths. Besides that, Corps Commander of White Knight Corps is also expected to be here. He is also going to pay his tributes. But here you just see, Pooja, these men in uniform are, have lined up here to pay their last tributes to these brave hearts. Imagine what they must be going through, Pooja, that they have always been at the forefront when it comes to serving the nation, when it comes to serving Mother India. But even during natural calamities, it's the armed forces we rely upon. We have seen the great work of our armed forces even during natural calamities. And when our nation faces wars, when our nation faces threats from the enemy, they have always been at the forefront. They have been combating terrorism, whether in Jammu and Kashmir, in Punjab, in Northeast. So it's, sometimes, Pooja, we wonder that, we get that why are we losing such precious lives? But unfortunately, we are surrounded by hostile neighbors like Pakistan and China. And despite giving repeated assurances, Pakistan continues to foment trouble. Pakistan continues to sponsor terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir.
And Sunil continues to expect from India and Indians to be friendly with Pakistan. Strangely, while they want to kill our civilians, our armed forces personnel, they somehow strangely expect that India will want to have peace talks, that India will want to encourage a friendly relationship while they continue to kill our people. I want to remind our viewers that these Pakistani terrorists in this year itself, when the year had started, targeted selectively Hindu civilians in Rajouri, and they killed little children. There were 2 to 3 little children who were deliberately killed in IED blast and were targeted. That's the sheer hatred that these terrorists have. And had it not been for these armed forces personnel to do as much as they possibly can in those areas to keep our borders safe, because Pakistan now wants to infiltrate into the Rajouri forest belt. The wreath-laying ceremony is on. Sunil, please stay on with me. We'll stay with these visuals and the salute that is being offered to our Bravehearts. As we continue to stay with these visuals, these are Indian Army officers, captains, jawans, and it's reflective of the difficult operation that's been on. Can you tell us a bit of a procedure about the wreath-laying ceremony with the salute that is being given? So these are senior officers who come and offer and put the wreath here in the mortal remains, and then it heads to the families.
Well, Pooja, J&K Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha is going to arrive here shortly, and after that, the ceremony will begin formally. After that, top army officials, including the Corps Commander of White Knight Corps, is going to lay wreaths on the mortal remains of these brave hearts. And Pooja, Havaldar Abdul Majid's mortal remains have already been sent to his hometown of Poonch in Jammu and Kashmir, because a wreath-laying ceremony also took place earlier this morning at around 6:30 at the military hospital in Rajouri district. And since Poonch district is adjacent to Rajouri, so mortal remains of Havaldar Abdul Majid have already been sent. A wreath-laying ceremony will also take place in Poonch, where senior army officials and some political leaders will also lay wreaths on the mortal remains of Havaldar Abdul Majid. Here, mortal remains of other 4 brave hearts have been kept, and after the wreath-laying ceremony, their mortal remains will be sent to their respective hometowns. You can see that mortal remains of Captain Shubham Gupta, Captain MV Pranjal, Lance Naik, Sanjay Bisht, and Sachin Laur. Their mortal remains have been wrapped in the tricolor, and Pooja, is truly heartbreaking to see.
Admires, absolutely in awe. While most youngsters in their early 20s, mid-20s would be in many other activities, these young men were in the armed forces and chose to defend the country. One of the soldiers is from Karnataka. Another is from Poonch in Jammu. Another is also from Uttar Pradesh, Agra. Different states and cities, one Indian identity to keep this country safe. And that's reflective of the bravery that they continue to show. With the wreath-laying ceremony that's on, we're expecting the Lieutenant Governor to arrive in a short while. But Sunil, staying with the fact that this operation took place in Rajouri, this has been a difficult year for Rajouri, whether it was the deliberate targeting of the Hindu community, whether it was about the 5 army para-commandos who were killed in action, again in Rajouri in the month of May, then in the month of April also I remember that there was another attack that had taken place. There have been casualties from a side too. What do you think is the strategy of the government at this point to be able to, of course, give a free hand to the Indian Armed Forces, but to also ensure that as much as possible that the casualties on our side remain low?
Well, Pooja, you are right. Last 2 years have been, in fact, very difficult years for the armed forces in the twin border districts of Rajouri and Poonch, because suddenly there was a spike in terror activities, in terror incidents in these two districts. And it's clear now that Pakistan is focusing on the hilly areas of Jammu region. It wants to foment trouble in the hilly areas because, as I said, these are very difficult areas. The terrain is very difficult. Visibility at times is very low. Weather is inclement most of the time, and there are natural hideouts as well. And Pooja, there is another important fact. There is a network of overground workers of terrorists who are locals, who are providing logistics support to the terrorists. And in the recent past, we have seen that this overground workers network has been reactivated in these twin border districts, and that is why these terrorists are able to sustain in the forests. They are able to sustain for many months. Otherwise, the shelf life of terrorists is not more than 3 months. This case of Kerry, who was eliminated by the security forces yesterday, this dreaded Lashkar terrorist was active in this region for last 1 year. So for last 1 year, he was able to sustain, he was able to hide in the forest and able to hatch conspiracies
Also
against
a tragic aspect that we cannot ignore. Remember, barely about a day ago, there were 4 employees in government services of Jammu and Kashmir government whose services had to be terminated. They were in education, police and other important departments and had terror links. So, of course, the terrorists may come in, but where are they getting the logistic support? And that's also something that deserves and needs a crackdown by the government. But remember these faces on your screen. Remember their names. Remember the families that they have left behind, because it's them who continue to be in the armed forces, keep us safe and protected. Leaving you with the names and the visuals of Havaldar Abdul Majid, Paratrooper Sachin Lore, Lance Naik Sanjay Bisht, Captain M.V. Pranjal and Captain Shubham Gupta. I want to thank them and their family for their service, for the courage that they have shown. That is India, and it will confront terrorists